In May, just before the onset of the Northern White Nights, the cultural capital of Russia is especially mysterious and romantic. In the city of St. Peter, it is a time for artists, poets, and writers, for all who patronize the muses of love and art. And every year in the spring, people from all around the world gather along the banks of the Neva and along the canals of the city, all loyal subjects of the kingdom without borders, to Her Majesty, literature. These are the days of the St. Petersburg International Book Fair.
Именно здесь.
It is here in our city where the most famous works of world literature were created, which glorified Russia and the mysterious Russian soul, as well as our great culture. I am certain that this was, this is, and this will always be. The reading community of St. Petersburg becomes awash in the luxuries of modern publishing. Hundreds of businessmen, authors, critics, distinguished masters, and ambitious newcomers, and thousands of fans of their skills and talents. This year, the fair will host nearly 250,000 people. I think that the fair is wonderfully organized. A great number of people come here, and this is extremely important. This is useful for the culture and for the country as a whole. I am very interested to meet my Russian readers, who read my books in a language in which they weren't written. It is interesting to hear their questions. He who comes to us with a sword will himself perish by a sword. With books, it is another story. For foreign publishers to achieve success in the country with the greatest number of readers is both quite prestigious and profitable. And Petersburg, with its erudite and sufficiently demanding public, becomes for many a serious test that all want to pass with excellent marks. The atmosphere in St. Petersburg is a bit different if we compare it to other international book fairs. Here there are many places, and the public is a bit different. This is our first time at the St. Petersburg Book Fair. It is quite good, cultural and beautiful. The Petersburg Book Fair had its first Jubilee celebration. After 10 years, it has become one of the most significant annual events in the cultural life of the city. The atmosphere throughout the fair is quite friendly, and it is easy to forge long-term ties and partnerships. And thanks in part to these, the creative development of Russian and world literature can continue to flourish. It is not enough to write the work. The work must come alive. The work should earn the audience for which it is intended. The Petersburg Book Fair is a lively event that takes place in the historic center of the northern capital. There are game rooms, a summer theater for children, street booths and tents for talks and presentations, cafes, restaurants, and most importantly, trading stalls. Where in the shops can you find such great prices on just about any book, which always makes the very best gift? The coolest books, typesetting, printing, paper, style, everything. Families come to relax at the St. Petersburg Book Fair, and delegations come to work. 2015 marked the first Crimean exhibition to be launched at the fair. A long-term agreement was also signed for cultural exchange and cooperation, and guests from the Republic of Belarus, who have become ongoing participants, remember how it all began and share their new experiences. This year, the organizers and the city worked hard to make the event especially successful. Lots of advertisements, multiple venues. All of this is very impressive. Everyone can learn to read, but trying to publish a book at the St. Petersburg Book Fair, even this is not a problem. With the wish to do so, even you can become a master calligrapher or a medieval printer. This is what we've got. We can print 1 copy, or 100, or 1,000. You can explore your own writerly ambitions. The majority of authors are eager to tell us what inspires them to create masterpieces. I have this habit where, before I begin writing a new novel, I always read Tolstoy's Resurrection. For 4 days, from morning until evening, the fair hosted guests. There were workshops and autograph signing sessions, presentations and premieres, discussions and roundtables. And of course, meetings, and more meetings. For example, with the giants of the Russian classics, who are known the world over. Welcome, Rodion Raskolnikov, the student who considered himself a Napoleon, wearing an overcoat from Charmer and living beyond his means. The celebration finally wound down, having hosted participants from 20 countries and 15 regions across Russia. And St. Petersburg, the megalopolis with the largest reading community in the country with the largest number of readers, has begun preparations for the next meeting of the loyal subjects of the Kingdom Without Borders, for Her Majesty, for literature.